with the beautiful scenery of China. Keep this in mind, that with beautiful series also, the picture is set up in nice fashion. WE brought their way back into that game, but in even better fashion, Vici Gaming brought themselves to a win in game number 1. My name's Xayah. This is Jimmy Preacher Fu. And after game number 1, give it to Chelizi. He's our MVP on the Yorick that just wouldn't stop a knocking on that door.
Yeah, once again, not a joke when you start giving him some kills. And the fact that he got so far ahead in the early game, completely shut out posts on the Jacks, and he just split pushed his way to victory.
He was just
quite literally.
Yeah, he was just so untouched in the early game, of course, being the fact that he just kept getting farms, yada, yada, yada. He just kept on going. So the Yorick on Chelizi. This showed us a Vici Gaming that's come together. This showed us the Vici Gaming that we hyped up earlier in the split.
Yeah, and it's also his very first MVP as well. So, you know, we got to say that this team is finally starting to look like they know what they're doing. The call to end the game, it was smart. I mean, like, not a whole lot of other teams would have gone for that. They would have said, Baron, we're fighting around the Baron. But yeah, Vici Gaming, they definitely know that they wanted to send 2 people over to the Nexus turrets. It means that this team has victory in sight. It means that they know that if they've built enough of a lead for themselves, like taking down the inhibitor and also one of the Nexus turrets, they can just go straight forward.
Also shows you that for Vici Gaming, you know, this is kind of the development we wanted to see. Chelizi disappears for a while. ZDZ came in, and yes, he was a very, very good top laner, but maybe not what Vici Gaming want to progress with in the future. For Vici Gaming, you know, it was close though. Like that game, WE, yeah, like that Baron fight was insane. I thought, it's over. WE just going to take control from it.
And it looked so good for WE as well when they started to get this Baron fight. It was all started by Mystic getting excited in the very first place, but at the end, happiness is an illusion for them because they jump over the wall, and while they do manage to pick up all of these kills as well, they didn't watch the mini-map, and they lost out because of the, because I'd say of the different priorities that they had in mind.
Of course, Mystic just running a rampage in that fight, man. Infinity Edge, 3-item Jinx is what happened there, folks. So I'm glad to see that the Jinx came out. Sad to see, though, that it doesn't find its first win of the LPL. Twice Mystic has played it now, twice he's lost, once against BLG, now once against Vici Gaming.
Yeah, although, when we talk about Vici Gaming, and we talk about how they won the very first game, it's not without its flaws, because they did lose a couple of team fights that did look like it was going to swing the way of WE as well. So while they can get the early game started, it's very unlike teams in the LPL, because they managed to lose it and only pick it up because of a little cheesy backdoor. Other than that, we need to say Vici Gaming, they need to tighten it. When you get a massive lead like that, you shouldn't be giving it away.
I'd say it's very smart split pushing that actually won it in the end as well. Very smart to send Jay in the middle of that fight, knowing that you're giving up the Baron, knowing that those backs can come through very quickly, but also, you know, Ragnarok from Ix dissuades the fight. Cataclysm comes down as well. They have to pull off a Baron, commit the damage onto the jungler, commit the damage to turn for the potential fight, then run back. That time was enough to hold them there, keep them in front of the pit, and the picks like the Nautilus as well from Vici Gaming really came into effect in that last play.
At the very end, all you needed to do was to stop the backs. If you got the range, especially with the range engages, then it works towards your favor. League of Legends is a game of minutes, but it only takes some seconds to, I don't know what the quote is actually. You know which one I was going for. But
you dug yourself into a hole. Glad it's not me. Normally Raz has to dig me out.
No, I'm going to dig my way back up with this one. But practically the point that I'm trying to say is that Vici Gaming, yes, they did win the first game, and they did get an early game lead. They need to tighten their play.
They really do. Well, I mean, like, honestly, both teams here coming through, Vici Gaming was always about the development of this match and how people like Puff and Southwind were going to go moving forward. But for WE, this is such an important matchup because if we go to, you know, like a game 3, you're going, all right, well, what's going to come through? What's going to be picked? But more so, where does this leave us as a WE fan? Because WE have been picking up really big wins. They've had really good times. Like, they've had some big losses, but also, past couple of weeks, it's been great.
That has looked very good, especially against BLG. And we were talking about TOP. I mean, that's no joke, right? The fact that you can very convincingly win against TOP as well, that proves that WE are in very fine contention to really go towards playoffs running, not just walking. But another huge thing that they need to shake up is the fact that the early game did not look very good for them, right? Like, they need to definitely get their jungler on board, get him into early game ganks. You have a Thresh and you have early game priority. There's no real reason why you shouldn't be ganking the bot side quite frequently, especially seeing as there's an Infernal Drake round. WE just need to really focus on what's important in the early game to make sure that they get the leads that they need.
What we can say about xiye, though, is going up against the Lissandra, push always against him, especially with the Galio nerf damage on Winds of War. that he's stuck in lane a lot of the time, couldn't use the hero's entrance towards the bottom side, couldn't really make the rotational plays in the early game to facilitate with the Jarvin ultimate and how they pick J4 into that composition. But in that game, in the early game especially, the J4, his priorities elsewhere. So for beishang, I want to see him return to that similar style that we've been seeing. Early bottom lane priority, the 3 to 5 minute mark, and see what WE can actually achieve with the bottom lane in Mystic and Missing.
Bottom lane, also top lane as well, because both of those two lanes you can get off very good lane ganks, and I think that that's where his strengths lie. The fact that he can get some very good vision play around to make sure that he's not spotted as he goes into the side lanes. That's really where his strengths are, and especially in that first game with xiye in the mid lane constantly getting shoved in by the Lissandra. Yeah, just don't pay any attention to mid lane, because that Lissandra could have got out easily.
Yeah, potentially. Look, we see a lot of the Galio coming back into the mid lane. I was surprised to see xiye on that pick, especially when I expect, all right, the Corki, the LeBlanc, a lot of the Zoe has been the priority, still in 9.5.
And don't forget, he also does have that pocket Ahri as well. I know you're not a real big fan of it.
I'm not, because it lost Preacher. Why are you a fan of this Ahri?
It's so good because it counters everything that's meta.
But it falls, it's early game's buggery, its mid game is great. It falls off like a, see this? Man, that's Ahri. That's literally, bye-bye Ahri. It is literally on the ground.
Of course it does late game, but if you get the early game leads, then you rely on Mystic to really carry it. We were talking that Mystic does have the capabilities. You saw it in that game, even though they fell behind early on. If you get him to 3 items, he will actually deliver.
All right, with Spooky Ghost and Glacial Augment, you have a point, but I saw the Ahri. I got disappointed by it. I didn't want to see it again. We're seeing a lot of new picks, and I'm actually surprised in Game 1 that we saw the Jinx, considering that, okay, Jinx is rising back in popularity. Yes, I understand that, but I see Mystic as the cog more, the Tristana potentially as well. Even though it's the same type of, it's still a hyper carry in the late game. Not the type I thought we'd see, but I'm surprised by it. I'm excited by it. I now want to look towards something like maybe cog more if you have the right setup for it. Missing on something like a Lulu. We're seeing the hyper carries, and this is Mystic's meta.
And it's funny, because when we talk about these two, the xiye and also Mystic, they're switching roles. Because in the last game, it was really
xiye AD carry.
Well, no, I was talking about xiye actually being the supportive player, the person who lays down the CC in the front line so that Mystic can carry. And Mystic, in the previous games, he actually played the Ashe to make sure that the ultimates were on point. You remember the 11-1 Corki game, but you don't remember the 0-0-11 Ashe. That was really helpful.
I mean, I do, because you told me about it. So
it was a good stat.
I do remember
it was a good Ashe.
Yeah. No, thank you very much, Preacher. Like, 0-0-11 is a great scoreline. No one's arguing that. Especially in this meta, like the Ashe has risen up as well in AD carries. But in the LPL, there have been a wide range of AD carry picks. And that's why I love that we've got Puff and Southwind going up against Mystic and Missing. The bottom lane looks spicy. In Game 1, however, I would say that we didn't see much from Puff. He had his Vayne. He was in a very good point. But because Mystic was on the Jinx, and he was on the Vayne, you're like, well, I know which AD carry I prefer here at 30 minutes.
Yeah, early game, Jinx beats it out because of the chompers, and late game beats it out because of the range as well. It didn't really look like Puff had a good time. I think that if Puff really wants to find some success, he should go back to what he's comfortable on. Ezreal definitely sticks out, and while Nico has been nerfed in terms of the on-hit department, she still does very fine. So if Puff wants to go inside that direction, I'm not even angry at him.
I like how the ban, first of all, was, I believe it was the Ezreal going towards them, but pretty standard bans what we saw towards the AD carry, as well as jungle position, not letting the Rek'Sai through first, not letting the top lane Sylas, which can also be flexed here in the LPL, like many other regions, through too. So there's some standard first bans to look forward to in this second game. And for WE, whether they let through something as influential like the Lissandra again, that was a first pick.
There were good bans, and the point that I want to make is that if you want to switch it up, then you're giving away one of the ones that we were just talking about. Can't give away Sylas, can't give away the Ezreal to Puff, so it really looks like both of these two teams are constrained. While they do want to adapt their pick phase, their ban phase has to look very similar, lest they want to give over a very strong champion.
Potentially. All right, we're about to jump into game, folks. We're almost there, don't you worry. With WE, this is concerning for me, because you win against TOP, and then you run on down and you go, we just lost to Vici Gaming, what's going on? But let me tell you this, there's a trend with Vici Gaming. They go the distance. They like their game 3s. And a lot of the time, they end up losing those game 3s. So I'm just saying, trends are set.
Definitely doesn't look very good, but the fact that Vici
it does now.
Yeah, the fact that Vici actually managed to pick it up, despite the fact that they were starting to fall a little bit behind later on, it really does mean that if Vici want to come into this game, they need to start solidifying their picks as well, because while they look good in the early game, their late game was definitely lacking. So if they want to target towards that side, should look good.
I completely disagree. They had a win condition. I think they played to it so darn well. This is why with Vici Gaming, you know,
split push to victory.
Well, they've solidified their style a lot more. Ike's had a lot more pressure in that early game, which in the past he's been lacking. And Vici Gaming didn't play to one style, which is invade the blue buff, and that's what we do at 15 minutes flat. We go in, we look for that buff, and that's our disruptive play. Instead, Vici Gaming were a lot more adaptive, which is the word we used in the previous series of BLG and FPX. A lot more adaptive towards the style of WE. And they had a condition, and you know, playing around that Yorick was absolutely fantastic. Leaving in the side lane, you have a Lissandra too. The engages were great, and they could play disruptor towards WE.
Seems a bit two-dimensional as well. When you lock in the Yorick, it's almost guaranteed that you have to do the split push. But they did it in a way that they were almost very conscious about where they were sending their pressure. They were sending a bot when they were trying to take Baron, and they were also sending a top whenever Baron was on, whenever the Infernal Drakes were on its way to make sure that they could get the extra scaling. So they're very aware of this, and I want to see how they adapted into their second game picks, because while they might not get the Yorick, while they might not get the split push strategy, if they can get their win conditions down point, then they'll know exactly how to play it, and we saw it in the early game work out very well.
So it goes on the top side of the map more importantly as well. Picking up the Jacks there for post ended up being a benefactor towards that 35 to 40 minute mark as the game ended, but if they go for something as late scaling again in the top side of the map for Vici Gaming and for WE as well, will be the question. We'll go into game 2 with new expectations on WE to take us the distance, but you can see WE, they've banned the Yorick here as the third and final ban.
Okay, so that's very, very interesting as well. And another huge point that we need to quickly say is that Lissandra's still open, so very good first pick over for both of these two teams. One of the things that we need to say about beishang is the fact that while he did get an early game Jarvin, and I do actually want to see it again in this game, he needs to make a different type of play for his team.
I mean, this is very interesting because seeing the Tahm Kench as a first pick priority is quite rare, but putting missing on this, just want to take it away from the potential of Southwind, meaning the Lissandra's open. You had the respect ban of taking away Corki from xiye. Jay can just rinse and repeat.
And immediately what this highlights to me is that they're either going for an Ashe, which is one of Mystic's favorites because Tahm Kench can bridge up her lack of escapes, or they could go for the Ezreal deny, but they don't need to deny anything away. So right now I am just staring down the Ashe. So
Xayah Rakan in 9.1 had themselves, I think it was close to an 80% win rate here in the LPL. 9.2, Rakan gets nerfed, you stop seeing the combination. A strong bottom lane that Puff and Southwind impressed us on in the earlier part of the split, but they give away the Lissandra over to xiye, and the bottom lane now can pick into this.
And another huge thing for Rakan is that he actually got a movement speed buff on his W, so everything just feels a little bit smoother for the Rakan, and he's coming back into form just because he can move a whole lot faster.
So Xayah Rakan in the bottom lane, you have Caitlyn and Tahm Kench there. Caitlyn on Mystic. This lane going to be very punishing here for WE. So although they threw the spanner, you can see that threatening Vici Gaming with the Xayah Rakan as well. We all know Puff and Southwind play this. That feels like Mystic and missing, and I threw that in front of them.
Okay, I like this. I like this. I like the Caitlyn coming in early because WE know that they can finally start playing around the bottom side. And another funny thing is the fact that if you put traps down, it doesn't quite hit Puff. Then Southwind, as soon as he jumps back onto the Xayah, will get hit by it if you put it a little bit forward. So all of this does bode really well for WE. But once again, I have to look towards the jungle, and I have to look to see if beishang gets an early game pick so that he can get himself into that lane.
It depends, because we need to see where that Vladimir goes, see what Vici Gaming can play around here. Will more than likely go to Chelizi in the top lane, seeing Lissandra locked in there in the mid. Jay loses the potential to pick Syndra, so WE expecting this to be a top lane Vladimir, much like we are, but top lane bans coming through here from Vici Gaming. Jace away from post, and the Aurelia follows suit. Nocturne the final ban for WE.
Alright, so this does mean that Galio is still up and available. If Vici want to rotate that up into the mid lane, then they can do so right now without fear of it being counterpicked. It's a little bit strange that WE want to give such a strong pick over to Vici Gaming, because what it does mean is that they don't really worry too much about the split push anymore. They're just worrying about the team fights.
I'm surprised the Olaf has gone this far, but it's happening again. Jungle's in the second rotation. Olaf again. Man, Olaf is just such a good pick at the moment. And I loved Ike's on it before. WWE flexing around with their jungle. What is it going to be?
I don't really think it's going to be any of those. I think that it was very good with the Jarvin in the first game, and that he just needs to make better plays. So it wasn't really the champion's fault, so he does need to change that up. But here we go.
I like this, though. I like this. With the Jarvin combination, the Wombo's there. Xiye, of course, on the Lissandra, it's going to combo in. And you have yourself a pretty interesting laning phase here. But Vici Gaming, what do you stop it? We saw this before, but Galio is left and open to the last rotation. Mid lane Galio could be the potential.
Might as well do it. It also does bridge a whole lot of the front line that's available. This would be odd because it means that they want to flex Vlad down into the mid lane, but it looks like that's what
no, not necessarily, because Sion can play mid and has played quite a lot here in the LPL. Let's find out exactly where it goes.
Yeah, we just need to wait for that, but another huge thing that we can be certain of is that Post is getting his hands onto that Kennen, had a very good flank with it the other day, and if he can get the same type of playstyle, especially with the lockdown that both Lissandra and Jarvin provide, he can get some very good teamfights initiated.
You might be right though. Let's hang on. 35 seconds.
I'm waiting.
Taking cleanse into mid lane means that it's more than likely going to be Jay. Sion with cleanse would be fun. Especially if you take spellbook.
You just want it into the Lissandra matchup, don't you?
I mean, no, as soon as they saw Kennen, they locked in the Sion. It makes sense. Post will get the shove, but of course, Sion should be fine there in the matchup in the 1v1 for as long as it takes him to get that first and second item. So, Sion in the top lane, but some reasonably new picks here in this game too.
New matchups, that's what we need to watch out for. I mean, the fact that this Kennen is into a Sion, we're naturally just expecting the Sion to be a pain train, especially as he hits level 6. We've seen Sions do very well into the Kennen and not actually get bullied out by the poke available. So we need to wait to see if Post wants to be a laning phase Kennen or if he wants to be a team.
Well, I'd assume we'd see Post go for the Klepto. Question marks there for the top lane build that's going to come out in the rune set. Especially since in the past, that has been the way to go. Getting early gold, moving towards your 2 items as a Kennen, joining those fights. So I'm going to try and do the same thing, but on the speciality pick, this is what happened. With Post, we said, what does he want to do? Well, this time, Post wants to get into the middle of these fights. Normally see him on something like the Sion, but this all layers so nicely together for WE that I get scared if Vici Gaming are caught out of position.
All about execution. We can't really hit that nail anymore, but over on the other side, Vici Gaming, they got a little bit of a tough time ahead.
I'm glad to see Rakan back in the LPL. 9.5 hit us a while back. It's taken a while to see this one come into fruition. Let's go, Game 2, WE. Playoffs still hang by a thread, and Vici Gaming want to play spoiler. My lord.
All right.
Southwind.
Okay.
No! He flashes so that he may live. Post had to burn his own as well. I thought he was just going to wrap around, but wrong side of Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, that was quite strange from Southwind. He wanted to get the vision down for the rest of his team, but ends up giving his life. Luckily, it wasn't a kill. Does mean that Vici Gaming, they are without a flash in the bottom.
What a start. I was like, what's... Oh, he's only going back to his own side. I'm like, hang on a minute. He's on
red.
the wrong side.
Yeah. Get out of there.
There's a close one there from Mystic. We're going to watch what happens. Did he press W over the wall? No!
He wants to get the vision down, but he's way too greedy for this, and I don't even know what he's waiting for, in all honesty.
So he spotted out Caitlyn, and he's like, where's the Lissandra going to go? He had no way out. That was very fair.
He's lucky that he got a second W.
He's lucky with that flash time. It was very good flash timing, so... first turret blood. The turret's the victor.
Definitely the victor coming out of this matchup. However, Post, I should say, in the top lane, he has gone for the Klepto, which is what we were talking about. It does very well into any sort of tank because it just gives you a huge gold advantage. Whereas on the other side, we have seen Sions with spellbooks do very well in 1v1s because nobody expects the sneaky ignite. When you take it, you drop it on your enemy and you get the solo kill.
As resolve the secondary tree, of course. Looking at the domination second there for Post, rather than going something like the sorcery. Curious to see what the secondary actually is there for the Kennen in the top lane. But as you said, a lot of early gold potential for beishang. It's 2.5 minutes in. Where are you going? Going to the top side, being a sneaky himself.
doesn't even care about this because he knows exactly where Ix is, so he wants to match him over on the top side. Ix has always been known as this person who has this very strange jungle path because he wants to go from blue to wolves to this scuttle trap as well, so naturally it needs to be diffused by beishang, and he's actually watching his blue buff right now.
I don't think he's actually done this before though, especially not on the Olaf, who's taking conquerors this game, looking for the double blue to steal away from beishang, but beishang has red, and in this 1v1, Ix has now hit level 3.
The best thing about it is that it's also nearly reset, so if he pulled it out a little bit further, then Ix would have completely been at a loss compared to this jungle. Now he's just wasted a lot of time. This Derek, he's going back to his own jungle, and all of that being said, Ix will be behind simply because he had to walk a little bit longer than it took for beishang to get to his blue buff.
Having said that, Ix probably going to be at half health soon, so Clear's going to go a little bit faster. We didn't get a really touch on this bottom lane, but Xayah Rakan, we know the level 2 is fantastic, but after that, Caitlyn looks absolutely fine here with the Tahm Kench and already close to 1 turret plating at 3 minutes.
And another good reason why this Rakan has slipped back into meta isn't just for the duo, but also because the sustain is a whole lot better than the Tahm Kench with the Relic Shield. However, we've got to watch mid lane here.
Okay, Jay, saying go and pull good timing there. Easy escape for the mid laner of Vici Gaming.
Yeah, so going back to my point in the bottom lane, it's even a teleport coming out from Puff and a heal coming out from Southwind because they know exactly what the role is. A whole lot of sustain in the early game and a whole lot of playmaking in the mid to late game. So Southwind playing towards that advantage and also picks himself up a coin just to make sure that he can get even more mana for the W sustains. It's working out better than the bottom lane of WE, especially in the laning phase.
Press Q post, let him know you're there. Just do it. He's wasting so much time. Post is playing mind games with him. He's going to push up as well. Wait, there it is. Yeah. You want to back here? Get out of my town, champion.
Not too sure what Ix is actually doing there. If he didn't want to go in, and he didn't want to do it either.
I reckon he wants to gank.
Yeah, he wanted to, but then he wanted to back.
Yes.
Round 2.
Oh, no. He stopped it again. And he got a ward out of it. All right, that's Ix's debt.
10 gold. Wouldn't really call it worth because now this Olaf is very far behind. And you were talking about the, in the break, we were actually talking about Olaf having a huge capability in the early game because he can go Predators, but this game opted into the Conquerors, so he doesn't even get that power spike on his back. It's going to be punishing for Ix because he doesn't have any sort of spike in the early game.
Curious as to what happened in game 1. I didn't actually pay attention to the rune choice there, but you're right. I think it's a lot more normal now to take the Conqueror. I've moved out of Predator junglers quite a bit. The time of Gragas and Olaf taking it, even the Skarner. Oh man, where is the Skarner when you need him? Skarner looks so good right now.
Yeah, he is so buff, but not in this game, as Derek's. We're looking at the same matchup that we saw in game number 1, and so far it's not actually playing out like we saw it, because Vici Gaming, the early game, no real good ganks that are pulled off just yet.
Not yet, only 5 minutes in, but we start with an Infernal Dragon once again though. So remember the priority we talked about in the bottom side, that'll come to bite. WE have a 1k gold lead this early on though. This is what we're talking about. Where's it coming from? Well, the bottom side, of course. The Kennen hasn't been able to push out as much after that very long stay in the top side camp. The post able to clear the wave out. Now we'll back away. Some of that Klepto gold will come in handy, but I return to my point. Look at the Caitlyn, and look at beishang getting an early dragon.
This is sneaky because there's no way that a ward can be placed for Vici either. Look at Missing. He's actually using this knowledge because he knows that there's a ward in the Pixel Rush in order to bait out Vici Gaming. Because now Vici don't know that this is happening. beishang came on over the wall, and it's going to be a very quick Drake that could not be contested.
Yeah, I think they had an idea. You can see Ike starting to path down there, but Infernal followed by another Infernal. Man, this series is hot. Like, this is the most Infernals we've had in, I think, a couple of weeks.
Just means that both of these two teams have a lot to fight for on the bottom side, which definitely does reinforce our point that we really want to watch Mystic and also Xiye. Both of those can collapse down onto the Drake very easily, and early game action on the bottom side is definitely hot because Ike naturally wants to focus us down there as well.
He definitely does. He's kept up in CS just due to the nature in Olaf after spending all that time looking for the invade and looking for more pressure in the top side of the map. But the natural push here, great for WE in game number 2. Knowing that the Infernal's still coming up, they'll be in this laning phase for as long as they can be. 20 CS up already. BF sword on the Caitlyn. beishang nearby with level 6. All the cookies falling in the right jar for WE.
Just Caitlyn doing Caitlyn things, getting the early game priority and also getting the item advantage. beishang is not getting onto the map, but it's not the worst thing in the world because there was a very good chance that Vici's ward in the bottom lane was actually spotted out by WE. He's playing the smart game where he's trying to deny away as much from Ike's invading as he possibly can, but both of these two junglers not making an impact in the early game and just leaving laning phase for their own devices, which is working out very well for WE.
That's rough.
It was a heal as well, I heard that.
There's a very big trade. That was a heal from Southwind. He just wanted to go in and now he's out. Oh, yeah, take more. Here we go.
Yeah,
look at Mystic. He's level 6 as well. Ace in the hole is available. Throw it out. Yeah, punk. See you later.
You know that feels bad when your ADC has to tank the ace in the hole in this matchup, and it also means that both of these two lovers in the bottom lane have to go back simultaneously, allowing a whole lot of this turret plating to fall.
Man, that is a 30 CS lead.
That feels
This is going to be 2 turret platings with the beautiful new headshot mechanic. They're just going to leave it. Let the wave reset itself. That's fine. They've got so much gold. It's very easy. Good news story in the bottom lane. The rest of the map for WE, pretty good as well. But somehow, stop him from going back. Post doesn't actually have a CS lead in this top lane. Chelizi, it should change as Kennen has 6 and now the poke is out and forcing Sion to stay in this wave.
This is kicking a man while he's down. Chelizi's not having a great time in this lane, and he even gets stopped going for his backs as well. So, mid lane.
Hemo Plague, Jay. He won't find too much on xiye, half health with the Hemo Plague. Going to find the Crimson Rush very shortly. There it is. xiye to clear out the rest of the wave too.
The reason why Jay uses ultimate is first of all to push out xiye, but xiye does have a teleport, so the main purpose was to get an advantage down for his jungler, although already being spotted out, this could be deflated.
Oh, where is Chelizi going? Lane swap time. They don't want to be put next to the Caitlyn and Tahm Kench,
Ulti's
but
off.
Not being proactive. Looks like they're just going to either back move across the map. I'm not sure what's going on here.
Ulti and Ghost are both up for Chelizi, so they're looking for the perfect engage. It has to be onto Missing because Missing has no way to actually get out of this.
This is a lot of time waste. I mean, they've sent the jungler to the top side of the map to cover for this. If WE are wise to the play with beishang here, they should know this is coming.
But they don't quite know why exactly Ike's is top. Now they have an inkling and they start to back off. That is, yeah,
I think they knew the whole time. I think WE were very wise to the play. They pushed up. They didn't over-push. beishang was nearby as well. Pings were going down, asking for assistance. So the Kennen just has the time of his life back up in top lane.
And the smartest thing about it was that Vici was actually standing on the top side of the lane, which means that if Sion ever pulled the trigger with his ultimate, all of a sudden eat Mystic, walk up towards the river, and that Sion ultimate is completely negated. So it was very good positioning coming out from WE that dissuaded the engage anyway.
At least it stopped the push for some time for Vici Gaming because it's the 2k gold lead at 10 minutes. It's all in this bottom lane at the moment and partially in the mid lane of xiye, who now has a bounty because he has 113 CS at 10 minutes. So never mind. A lot of it is on this Lissandra mid, who almost has 3 turrets herself, or 3 turret platings rather.
Yeah, that's crazy, especially considering that neither of these two junglers have even gone in for plate ganks. But in the bottom side, beishang is looking once again.
Southwind double knock up there with a hero's entrance. Grand entrance, excuse me, but turret plating falls once again. WE stay at full health on the Caitlyn bottom lane. They're just backing away.
Yeah, and the pressure that's laid down from the Jarvin constantly visiting bot lane means that they can do this in relative safely. Ike's has now showed himself in the mid lane as well, so nobody's defending this turret. This is ridiculous.
This early game from WE is insane. Look at the gold span out. Give it. Yeah, Mystic. Is he going to get it all by himself? No, it's spread to 3 people, of course, with the timings being there. 237 to each, but a double Infernal is set up for them this early on. Ike's knows that he's going to have to give this up, so he's trying to recover this early game with the Rift Herald.
Same play as the very first game, however, he's lost a whole lot in the early game. It used to be Vici in the advantage. Now that they don't have the advantage, this Rift Herald looks very dangerous. He can't even collect it before the turret plating falls in 2 minutes that you can see on your screen, which is really punishing for Vici because they are just completely down in plates.
Just saw the Jarvin backed away. They do not know where the bottom lane are, but now spotted in the mid lane. The Tahm Kench going to clear this out with Mystic and more turret plating. It's 12 minutes in the game.
This is ridiculous.
This Caitlyn is annoying. 40 CS up. Give us more. Yeah. 80 gold for both of you. Missing's going to be tanky as hell. Xayah's not going to do too much. Post needs to run now. This is the response.
Ooh, good flash.
To the wayside. Chelizi has to ult.
And although the flash was burned, it got him out to complete safety. So negating Ix in the top lane means that once again, it's pretty much a Mystic show this game, Hysterics. He can just keep on pushing the mid lane, get these turret plates down. It's becoming more and more impressive.
Yep. Look at this, 12 minutes. 10 plates already. The top lane somehow hasn't pushed out, but that doesn't matter.
Damn.
Mystic and Mystic will go there next. Let's go. We got a minute 15.
Rush it.
Go
Don't
to the
even
top
go back.
side.
Don't go back.
I mean, go and test. Here we go. Tahm, Kench, who'd he bring? He brought xiye, who flashes in, locked on down ulti. Where did he go? Cotton Eye Joe. Southwind drops down for first blood. They're now on Ix, who has to flash. The Piltover Peacemaker sends no regards from Russia. But somehow Mystic doesn't find the kill, but he gets first blood.
That was ridiculous play. Immediately collapsing down with xiye's ultimate, joining Mystic from his Abyssal Voyage as well. That was just way too fast against Vici Gaming, and while they did want to pick up the Rift Herald, naturally let it go. And yeah, it's just a whole lot of plate games. The fact that they got such an early advantage with all of those plate, all of that plate gold, means that they could easily use it in a team fight and pick up easy kills.
And you just left with the Xayah Rakan who want to get somewhere in this game. Alright, 13 minutes, another Infernal, guys, like triple Infernal.
Woo!
It just gets better. We've had triple Infernal twice this series and we're only in the game too.
Yeah, this is the play that we're looking for. So Missy is actually engaging right now. Xiye walks up in order to take it and collapse between a Caitlyn and the two people coming up. I mean, that's just some dirty damage coming down from Xiye.
It happens when you got a Caitlyn who shoots people in the head as well. Infinity Edge on the AD carry. Lissandra now has the Luden's Echo in the mid lane. Oh yeah, this is the WE that's oppressive. This is the WE that took down TFE. Again, it just gets better and better here. 5k gold lead at 14 minutes, and we only have one kill. Vici Gaming, they're not even going to get that turret. And remember the Rift Herald? Remember how it took years for Vici Gaming to take down? Well, they never got through it. It just went over to WE, and all single objectives are theirs for the taking.
So far, it kind of looks as if WE are going for a perfect game inside of this to really hammer it back to Vici Gaming and say, first game was a fluke, this time we could definitely win it around, and with the early game advantage, I really do struggle to see how Vici Gaming can necessarily come back into this game because the scaling's there, but realistically, I don't know how they can hold out to get that scaling.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, WE right now, they lose their bottom lane turret, so more gold goes over. Xiye are going to respond and get the outer. Still back to that 5k margin. Denying the triple Infernal is a must, though. So if they're going to come back into this game, it has to come through that neutral objective in the Dragon.
Yeah, they definitely do. But Vision is not going towards Vici Gaming, so once again, our question marks have to be, you need to get a pick in order to get Vision down. How do you get a pick with great difficulty?
Oh, no.
Out.
I mean, he may pop the Ragnarok, but underneath the ultimate there from Jarvin, beishang doesn't need mana.
No.
Caitlyn just pops him, teleport coming in as well. Jay under pressure, Hemoflake is out, and the Crimson Rush comes through as well. Glacial Path from xiye, he's ready to engage, but he doesn't need to. It's another kill for WE.
And you know exactly what Ix was thinking. He was thinking, Jay, hello, are you going to help me? Finally, Jay stops his back, but now he's caught in a bad position because as soon as he gets out of the brush, Ix is dead. This is looking like it's going from bad to worse. Vici Gaming do not look like they have the direction that they had in game number 1.
6,000. It continues to grow. And when you take down someone like Ix who needs to be on the map, needs to start pressuring for this Infernal, well, you dissuade Vici Gaming even further. Look at the turret plate in gold. 1,600 versus 320.
Damn.
A very good reminder as to how this game's going.
And remember that a whole lot of that is going over to Mystic as well. So it's a Caitlyn with an accelerated early game. Usually we see her drop massively in the mid game just because itemization doesn't actually help her until she gets everything down packed to the 70% or even 100% crit chance. But now Mystic is looking like he can definitely fight Puff 1v1, no problem at all.
He almost has that rapid fire cannon as a second item, while Essence Reaver first here for Puff. 9.5 Essence Reaver, of course, you get the crit chance back on that item, and you still get yourself a bit of mana, but it's not the way it used to be. For Puff going to be a very essential item, but you still want to pair it with something like a Zeal item.
Simply looking towards either that or an Infinity Edge, because we've seen IEs or even Storm Razors come out massive as a second item, but Puff is just behind. The whole point of Puff is that he needs to catch up in terms of gold, and there's not a whole lot of ways to do that, because turret plating no longer exists. And
save me.
yeah, that's not going to help.
Look at Post. Hello, Ikes. Wow, that's a lot of damage from a Kennen Q. Mark of the Storm getting applied. Post just forcing the jungle around again. WE. Look, there's a triple Infernal. Let's get it.
It hurts because Post isn't even the person who's had the majority of the focus for the team. He's just picked up the ancillary gold from all of the turrets falling around him, but even then, he is starting to become a very huge nuisance. On hit Kennen no longer the favored because he wants to go for the team fights. He knows his role. He's never got a 1v1 against Chelizi. He's just trying to look for these team fights where he can enable Mystic to just free fire. He can enable Xiye to go in without fearing that he's going to be focused on.
I'm actually surprised that Post has had such a good laning, such a average laning phase against the Sion. Like, it's props to how Chelizi is actually playing in this series, that the Sion has managed to hold on to CS this much. We've seen Kennens as, by the way, triple Infernal, yeah, that's right.
Just BTW.
Kennens have destroyed Sions in some cases as well. So Chelizi is still having a decent series, and in this game, WE, it's played up to their skill rather than Vici Gaming's. Vici still had a great game one. Let's not forget their decision-making was on point. It looks like they fixed a lot of the issues with communication, it seems like they were having. This game, they're getting impressed themselves. And more to the testament of how WE are playing this one out as Rift Herald starts walking down the mid lane.
So I do need to tell you that a perfect game is no longer on the cards for WE because they allowed one turret to be taken in the bottom lane. So
bugger.
Yeah, Vici definitely dented them in that. But nonetheless, this is still a very impressive game. It's a shutout game from WE, and if they continue in this manner, then it's making a statement going into the future weeks, especially against Rogue Warriors, who we said was going to be a very big...
Yeah, it might be. xiye burst has to make this game 2 into a game 3. They started off locked on down. AoE team fight here from WE is what we wanted to see, but Hematblade has locked down one. Missing dies. First kill of the game as xiye re-engages back onto the Vladimir. Mystic takes him down himself. That's Southwind who drops while Rift Herald is having the time of his life. Shelly, no! She's going to die. It's okay. We'll get another one next time, just like a new puppy. But as WE close on in onto this middle inhibitor, it breaks, it falls. The 10k gold lead fast approaches here in game 2.
I don't want to know what happens to puppies in your household, but nonetheless, yeah, it definitely does fall for Vici Gaming. They are struggling inside of this game. They don't even have enough wave clear to just clear out the super minions coming into the mid lane. That duty is going to be relegated to Puff, and even then, Puff is going to have a really hard time. This Xayah took teleport, hasn't really used it inside of this game, and there aren't a lot of good places to use it because realistically, where are you going to join a team fight? Every single team fight is not going to work out for your team, so it kind of looks as if Puff is definitely left on an island without a whole lot of avenues on.
Of course, a lot of the time we know that since Southwind took the heal to get back into lane, the AD carries pick up that teleport.
Ouch,
Southwind, that was one auto.
Yeah, that was, wow.
All right. Net towards them. Let's go, Mystic. Be that Caitlyn. Rapid fire cannon, Zeal. Double Zeal item's going to sting. I guarantee Renan's Hurricane is coming up next. Otherwise, a static shift could be
probably a static shift.
Well, he's that far ahead. Depends. Renan's would be the standard go-to.
No longer works with his passive hysterics. Don't forget that. Doesn't stack it up anymore. Yeah, a whole lot of Caitlyn's not actually going in that direction, but it doesn't really matter which direction he's going in. All he needs is the raw stats from the completed items, and this Caitlyn is still looking like she hasn't really troughed, because realistically, there haven't been any fights. She hasn't been engaged in a position which Vici Gaming are really 5v5ing. She's just been in pushing duty, and this Caitlyn with her massive range, there isn't any contest coming out from Vici.
Level 12 on the Caitlyn as well. Let's go again. WE started up. The siege begins. Caitlyn hits it once, twice, and that's the damage. Not even a headshot. Wait for it.
I'm waiting.
Gear it up. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom! That's not even that much. I got overexcited. Yeah. I mean, it's right. Turret's dead anyway. It doesn't matter. Vici Gaming can't defend this. They can't even walk near it. Colonel, go higher. There is no single way as xiye walks on in. Ike's holding on to the Ragnarok, but something tells me it's not going to be for long. Look at Mystic. Oh, man.
Well, if you're the side of Vici Gaming, you don't want to look at Mystic because he is just tearing down your base, and there's not a whole lot of way that you can get around this. I think that if you're Vici Gaming, you need to be looking towards game number 3 to pull it back because you are one game looking down at a 1-for-1. So you need to either ban out this Caitlyn, or the better thing to do is to get a better early game in game number 3.
Push Mystic down because he's already had such a great series. Jay, interesting little Sanguine pull. xiye just walks in behind the turret. Inhibitor, turret number 2 drops down. Inhibitor number 2 going to follow too, but
Sion?
here comes the ultimate. Trying to lock down
no.
xiye, just ults Cataclysm in. beishang finds a 2-man knockup. Glacial Path in the backline. xiye locks down 3. The Pillars of Ice stand tall here for WE. And Vici Gaming, although try as they might to defend the wrath of the Titans of World Elite, 6-1 is not enough. And Vici Gaming, it's night and day from game number 1 to game number 2. It's night and day for WE. The recovery is true, and all I can say is that World Elite, baby, they're coming for you.
And Post didn't even really have a huge impact with that ultimate. It was only the threat of it that stopped Vici Gaming from ever engaging. The slow game wins out for WE. Didn't even need a team fight to finish that game out. It was strategic and it looked beautiful. They turned on the lights and it was blinding.
Man, that bottom lane was everything for WE. Mystic and Missing just had such an impressive time. 50 CS up by the 10-minute mark. It goes further than that at 15, 20 minutes. A full item and a half up on Puff.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting.
Puff and Southwind got their champion. They got the Xayah Rakan, which we know what that can do. Mystic is just on fire, and xiye is too.
Yeah, it just looked even better for Mystic's side, because while there is the combination and the engage potential at level 2, wasn't used by Vici Gaming. The level 2 wasn't hit faster than the Caitlyn, Tahm, Kench because, of course, there's a push potential on the bottom side. And then from that point onwards, they can never really recover because of the constant poke and range advantage.
When you look at what the team was set up to do, you look at how the team was set up to fight. Laning phase strong in the bottom side, and then you're like, wow, we got a Jarvin, we got a Kennen, got a Lissandra, let's really fight. It's like, well, we don't actually need to. The Caitlyn's just won everything.
Yeah, Lissandra also using her ultimates for the engages and for the picks rather than for the 5v5 team fights. It was looking pretty damn good for WE because all they needed to do was constantly play the turret game. There was no defense available for Vici. They didn't have any wave clear available. Can't really reach the Caitlyn on 650 range, and it was pretty much just free scaling. Don't forget, there were 2 full sets of turret plating. That's 10 turret plates that were busted down for the side of WE.
1,600 gold, by the way. There was so much gold given away early, and WE took it all. There was a moment of kind of, all right, well, this is Vici Gaming's time. This is their window, and it was like 30 seconds in that game anyway. But Ike's picked up the Olaf once again. Game number 2 looked like it was set up for success. And then suddenly the Caitlyn came back, and you're like, yeah, all right, this is happening. So, yeah, maybe going into game number 3, that's a ban. Maybe you look more seriously at the bottom lane and what you actually achieved in that pick ban, because Tahm Kench was prioritized first by WE. They let the Lissandra go back over to that composition, and the Jarvin too, at the cost of Xayah Rakan.
Honestly, when you take a look at the team, maybe you even go for something that's unconventional. You go for an ADC that counters Caitlyn as opposed to, maybe even just go back to the Ezreal. I mean, the worst case scenario, Puff on Ezreal always looks good, and shake it up. Make sure that your players are comfortable.
Because game 1, Mystic, Jinx. Game 2, the Caitlyn. What happens next? Only time will tell. Game 3 coming right up.
兄弟真英雄，无畏共联盟。梅赛德斯奔驰 GLA SUV 强烈推荐，超级好看的主播真会玩赛事篇。Hello， 大家好，欢迎收看主播真会玩赛事篇，我是晨曦。上周的 LPL 出现了各种快乐操作，什么移形换影、原地 TP， 应有尽有。
这真的是最后啊，交闪现来拿这个龙，惩戒拿到，交闪现来拿这个龙。 惩戒拿到，塔姆一吃还可以。
有，秘书打到了，那怎么办呀？会不会原地等死？哇！移形换影，看过没有？
这个有点尴尬，感觉
看不懂，
配合失误了。
中野塔姆还能有保护，还能带人过去，而且塞拉斯这个英雄啊，就
哇，这么骚的操作吗？这个长虹。 上来就打下来这波
点个赞，
五大囧这个。 这也太尴尬了，我觉得。
啥意思啊
？14分钟之前还能在破塔
这里下路要被包了，有没有意识？塞拉斯偷了一下蝎子大招，
反偷了一下，自己打了一波鱼，
互拉，哎，走了，兄弟。
哎，这一波还挺有意思的。这边 ED 可能要收割了，再怎么推了？那 ED 自己的位置也是一个3包鱼，哇，漂亮！这个让交出这个闪现，换到对方的干了，被抢飞，好像没有问题。这个让我看见一个4杀，而且还有减速，能不能活下来？这个让我们跑速，博尔特，哎呀，跑赢了！
这真的是年度僵尸大片啊 ！Jackie Love 逃离僵尸巢，
已经完成了我们队的一个很重大的目标了，就是我拿了4杀，每个人都抢过。
每一个人哀泣，永不5杀，对不对？
不只是选手，连粉丝排行榜上的金主爸爸们都皮了起来，各种改 ID 换头像。
今天也是元宵节了，又换照片了，兄弟，你怎么又换照片了啊？这
头像怎么又换了？
每天都在换头像，很可爱，又把宁王抬了出来。
我们接着来看一下今天的粉丝榜。
等一下，
念啊，我先念第一个。今天粉丝的第1名是殷离，那第2位跟第3位要请 Rita 来帮忙练一下。
第2位的话是牛奶肌肤冯瑞，第3的话是。
真亏你念得下去。再来是今日的整体粉丝榜，第1名依旧是娃娃米勒管管泽源。
以后我们导播可以改成打个马赛克这个人，这人头像有点搞事，我觉得。笑死。
除此之外，上周比赛最引人注目的，当然还是那个男人的回归了，7就完事儿了。
第2个 BO3 也是今天比赛很受瞩目的另一个原因了。
是的，这个问题就来了，为什么这么受瞩目呢？
为什么都上微博热搜了呢？
为什么现在弹幕上都是一串数字呢？
为什么这个赛前的时候呢，主持人一直在看去年的这个激将的采访回放？一切都是因为那个男人回来赛场。
然后还说了一下他这个什么战绩啊 ，KDA， 反正各种都很华丽。
KDA 就不提了 ，KDA 哪有人在他面前提的 ？KDA。但是赛文老祖在位的时期的在位，
哎呦，厂长这
队友交流起来，哎，这个发型显得很年轻啊。
厂长不是一直这个发型吗？比较顺滑。
之前有过不顺滑的呀，这一看刚起头。
我想弄个 Scout 的发型。
哎，
今天光将
也来了。
这个 EDG 跟 RW 都是前东家，然后厂长也很明白，奥拉夫没闪现，直接闪现盖大。配合 iBoy 瑞，
就是这表稍微有点抠。
海尔兄弟的相声社再次开张，作为已婚男士，他们这次讨论的话题好像有点危险。
娃娃，我爱你。
可以，兄弟，我也爱你。
还有一个亲嘴的，但可爷是个汉子，好吧？
哎，汉子才好嘛。
好，
要是个妹子，我都不知道回家怎么解释，对不对？
不用解释，
不解释吗？不解释。我觉得你今天回去要解释一下。
我不用解释。
这个刚才一定有观众把我们第1场比赛解说米勒说“大老婆小老婆是人生梦想”的这句话呢截图截下来。
那个是韦小宝的梦想，我又不是韦小宝。韦香主嘛，不是我的梦想吗？
可以，
我的梦想吗？那个是韦小宝的梦想，我又不是韦小宝。我要当韦小宝。
为什么跟我一样？
他不是能怨你，但是他能让你的张无忌贼难受。没办法，无忌最怕的就是漂亮的女人。说啊，拿了这个，
这的确很漂亮。
节目的最后，让我们来看一下老父亲厂长和他的崽子们，以及萌萌的369的采访吧。
大家好，我是 EDG 中路 Scout，
我是
EDG AD 小昭。
好，欢迎2位。无忌哥哥昨天还说小昭很可爱，那你觉得今天跟他对线是什么样的感觉呢？
就是我这么可爱，他肯定不想打我。
所以可能使用的是可爱技，能够迷惑一下对方。那为什么现在 EDG 感觉状态比之前好那么多呢？
因为他来了，他是一个很稳的一个选手嘛。
刚刚好像我们在台下说的时候，你不是说的这一份答案，刚刚好像是在说，因为诺言回来之后，小昭就不会开始送了，所以在台上可能要更加稳重一些，给小昭一些面子。那我想问问 iBoy， 在你眼中，如果说给你机会，你会不会烫这个锡纸烫呢？
我不会当发的，我的头发都要掉光。
那老父亲回来之后有没有鞭策他们一番？
鞭策的话倒没有吧，但就是葫芦娃里面，葫芦娃总是救爷爷，希望他们下次能救一下我，然后希望他们能快点长大吧，因为我们的选手都很年轻，
真的很有老父亲的那种感觉了。
Loken 的粉丝来领取 Loken 的礼物和队员一握手。哦，撞到头了。
不是369那个也太萌了吧！我的天哪，这个圈粉啊，肯定的。不是那个，我从来没有看过，就2个人。
我们的选手握手，同时来获得你想获得的礼物。